a live coaching demonstration. I have with me a fellow coach. His name is Co, and we are going to be demonstrating what life coaching looks like. All right. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Co, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What would you like to focus on today for your coaching session?
Yeah, so this might be different from most coaching sessions, I know for me and my clients, but for me, I actually need to figure out a way to do less, which is very difficult for me.
Say you would like to focus on finding a way to do less. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
By the end of our session, what would you like to walk away with when it comes to doing less?
Well, I know that's, I guess, a really broad, topic. So I think, like, by the end of our time, if I even just had, like, if I could, whatever, I'll just say it, but like, identify like one, I want to say trigger, but like one signal that will tell me, oh, like you're doing it again. You're like overcommitting, and like a way that I can like start to point out, like, got it. Maybe this needs a break. So like, yeah, kind of like a switch that I can identify when I'm starting to overcommit.
So by the end of our session, you'd like to walk away with a signal that could be like a switch that they'll be able to help you identify when you're overcommitting. Is that what I'm hearing?
Hmm. Yeah.
All right. And why is this important to you to be able to identify this?
Well, I mean, the main reason is that, um, well, first of all, I have to just embrace the fact that I'm an introvert. I need downtime, you know, and like with the work that I do, and like my creative ambitions, for me, that needs downtime for like ideas to come up and for, kind of like inspiration to come. And if I'm like busy doing things, there's not room for that. If I'm like super busy, I don't have the energy for clients. If I'm super busy, I don't have that downtime to just let imagination spark or to then even execute on these creative ideas that I have. So it's like, I it sounds like downtime, but it's actually, the time is busy. It just doesn't look like an activity.
Right. And I'm really curious, how are we going to know that you have achieved your goals by the end of our session?
Um, I will. It will be an emotional sign for me where I'm feeling like expansion and excitement.
Okay, so you're going to have this
Yeah,
feeling of expansion, excitement, and that's going to be like your signal that we've achieved what we need to achieve today. All right,
yeah.
perfect. What has been holding you back from taking the time that you need as an introvert and also having that signal that you need to know when you need to step back?
Um, well, just a small bit of context. I moved to a new city 2 years ago, where I didn't know a lot of people, and so having community is important to me, and so
Mhm.
I started prioritizing like, there's plenty of downtime when I got here because it was like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know anyone really. And so, in trying to build community, I was forcing myself to go out and accepting invitations to go out and trying to proactively like connect with people. And so, and then also at that time of moving here, I had like full-time job. I was in a training program. And so I was doing everything I could to not just like isolate and be like, no, I need to get out. I need to get out. Like I can't just, don't make friends by just sitting at home. So that got in the way. And then also, honestly, just not accepting the fact that I'm an introvert. Like I would say it, and then people would be like, "Oh no, you're not. Like I see you out and about all the time." And like I can like even like right now, I have a big personality, and it all the signposts of being an extrovert. But that's just when I'm interacting with people. I embrace that. I'm present. I'm connected. So it seems like, oh, he must love to do this all the time. But the thing is, it's very exhausting because I have to put effort towards it. I don't just I'm not an extrovert, so I don't just show up and just like do that, haphazardly. It's it takes effort, and I have to do it with purpose. So like that's the thing that's gotten in the way is like myself and telling myself, you got to get out more. You got to go out and do stuff.
What else? What else comes up when you are talking to you?
Um, well, on a practical note, um, when I am just home or whatever and having my downtime, the other thing that comes up is like, oh gosh, like that laundry needs to be folded, like those dishes need to be done, like I need, there's all these, there's always something that can be done at home, and so then it's like, I don't want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go out.
Yeah, so I'm really curious. I'm curious if there is a little bit of fear coming up for you when it comes to having that downtime for yourself versus constantly putting yourself out there and make yourself available.
Oh, absolutely. Like FOMO is a real thing, fear of missing out on what, I don't know. Um, but then also it's kind of this like, oh, if I do get an invitation to go out, or if like a friend messages and is like, oh, you're going to go to this thing's happening, are you going to be there? There is a bit of fear that like, well, if I keep saying no, the invitations will stop.
Mm. When you said that, it looked to me like you had a little bit of a light bulb moment. Did something come up for you just now when you said that?
I mm, Sort of. I mean, I like thinking about what I just said. I think I was surprised that that thought was still there because it's very much something that was like a purposeful choice like earlier in my life, like years ago, of like,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are you,
okay, am I back?
can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah,
Am I back? My
absolutely.
connection went out.
Okay, good.
Um, so to
No,
recap
you're
what I said,
back.
because I don't know where it cut off. I don't know where it cut off, but yeah, like in my younger years, like I would say even like maybe 5 years ago, that was a very conscious thing of like, oh, like let me keep count of how many times I turned down an offer from someone, or like let me double check, like if there's not an express reason to say no and stay home, like go out, or else those invitations will stop. And I didn't realize that that was still kind of lingering until just now.
So those invitations, do they also get in the way of you having this? So let me just pause for a second. Um, so my intuition is bringing all this up as far as like, yes, you need to have your downtime because you're an introvert and be able to be out there in the world because the world demands we are extroverted. But what does it really mean to you to be an introvert?
It means that, okay, I'll take it a step back. Really, just when I say that, it
Hmm.
simply is just a word that describes how happy I am when I'm just home alone sometimes. And like Saturday, I was home all day. I didn't do anything. I didn't clean. To be honest, I just like scrolled Instagram all day and laughed at like every funny thing that I saw and just like enjoyed myself for the entire day, and it was great.
And how does that serve you when it comes to everything else that you want to do?
Um well, in that downtime, you know, I I used to be an actor, that was like my first career. And one of my first acting teachers, when we would be in class, like watching people, we did a lot of improv, and he would say, "Don't watch to be entertained, watch to learn." And so that is, and then even just being an actor like in New York City, I never just went and saw a Broadway show just to be like, oh, let's go see the show. I was always looking to be like, is there a part here I could do? What, what I'm not analyzing, but like taking in the whole thing. Is this something I should I like keep an eye out for auditions? Should I call my agent, be like, hey, by the way, if this comes up, like saw this show, I really think I could do that. So as I was just home watching, scrolling through Instagram, one of my I've always been a fan of social media, and like it's such a great space for creativity. So as I'm watching certain things, it's not just, oh, that's funny, but then my mind goes into places of like, oh, that could be a great, I could take a twist on this and that would be a great reel for my coaching business. Or, oh, that's funny. I could do this with that. It's always, yeah, it's never just passively consuming the content. My brain is always going and putting things together. So yeah, that's I don't remember your question, but that's the response that came up.
Sounds good. I am want to take a quick check in with you. Make sure we're still going in the direction that you want to go in.
Yeah. Um yeah, as I just talked about that just now, it's like, oh yeah, like I said before, like this downtime and doing less, it's not actually doing less. I can tell someone like, "Oh, I just hung out on the couch all day and, scroll through Instagram," and that sounds like, oh, "Okay, just a day off." But I know for me, that's like really valuable time, and something may come up later that, is very active time for
Yeah.
me.
I'm curious, which one of your underutilized strengths can you use to help you make sure that you constantly have the shift that you need in order to be able to take the downtime?
The first thing that came up, well, my top strength is humor, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, yeah, like, and that helps with my creativity. But the first thing that really came up was appreciation of beauty and excellence. And the next thought was, oh, really lean into like making your home beautiful and something very comforting. Because I thought about the times that like I would be home and it's like, oh, there's all that stuff that has to be done. But there's this constant, if I'm constantly leaning into like, how can this be more pleasant and beautiful, then maybe the laundry won't pile up. Maybe, I'll wash up the dishes after I cook instead of letting them sit there because it's like, well, this would make this beautiful. And then I would enjoy this time at home and it not feel like, oh, I should be doing this, that, and the other.
Anything else coming up for you right now?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this, but taking that same strength of this appreciation of beauty and excellence,
Mhm.
um, I've been trying to like look at what do I do for fun? What are my hobbies? Because I tend to focus on work, and I was like, oh, but then when I go out, that could be a great like barometer or maybe signal for, oh, is this something I should like? Oh yeah, I'll go out and do that if there is this level of beauty and excellence involved. Like, is it, am I going out to go to a museum? Am I going out to, see the show that's touring that's coming through town? Um, or is it, or if it's just like brunch, well, where is it? Is it a, is the ambiance great? Not that it has to be like, Michelin star brunch place, but um, yeah, that's got my wheels turning.
Do you need anything else when it comes to your strengths, outside of appreciation and beauty and excellence?
Mm, I think that's a good start. I'm thinking of my strengths,
Okay.
and there's like, there's I have this love of learning. I have this strength of like also like fairness and spirituality, um, which I find spirituality and appreciation of beauty and excellence are and humor. Those three things really go together well. So no, I think I'm good with that. Yeah.
Awesome. And how are we doing? Just a quick check in again towards like the progress you wanted to make. Just having that light switch moment, there's the feeling of
Well,
excitement.
yeah. I mean, I could see how I could use this like appreciation of beauty and excellence, but then also humor, almost like a filter, I guess. So instead of it just being, you know, oh, I feel like I need to go out, or oh, so and so asked me like if I was going to go to this concert coming to town, and I'm like, oh, maybe should I do it? Should I not? Like I can use it as this like filter to be like, does it pass the vibe check? Um, and that way, it's not just this open decision of like yes or no. I've got some parameters, sort of like criteria for what I spend my energy on.
Yeah. And my intuition's hitting me really hard with that you might actually have a bigger issue around saying no to people. How does that resonate with you?
Absolutely. Ding, ding, ding. What do we got for her, Johnny? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very big issue with that.
So, does your inner critic hit you hard with that? Well, I guess I really want to say, how does your inner critic really hit you with that one?
Um, it tells me I need to have a reason that I know that no is a complete answer, but
Mhm.
my inner critic's like, but you got to have your receipts. If someone asks why, you have to have an answer. You can't just say, well, cause. Um, so yeah, I'm consistently like, it's like, oh, is there a good enough reason why? Not even just a reason. Is it even a good enough reason why? Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Is that something that you want to keep intact with the inner critic? Is having that good enough system reason why?
No, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like if I said no, I said no.
Yeah. How does that resonate with your values?
It feels really empowering. You know, I, you know, I consider myself a very like strong-minded person, but I'm also super flexible. Because like basically with me, it's either I have a strong opinion about something or I have no opinion. There's like really not like a gray area. And so yeah, like that, well, no means no. Like it's like I made the decision, you know. Um, you don't need a reason.
From the beginning of our session, you said you wanted to have this feeling internally, so you knew that you were gonna have that, like, light bulb moment, not really light bulb, but that light switch. So you knew, "Okay, yes, this is my balance between
Mhm.
extroversion, introversion." How are we doing towards that?
Better than I thought we would.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like this last question you asked about like how does that fit into my values? Um, yeah, that kind of like stabbed me in the neck a little bit in a good way. Um, because it's
Stabbing you
giving
in the neck.
me, yeah, because now that I kind of have this like kind of like framework, sort of a, like kind of like, oh, I mean, to quote myself, like kind of like, oh, does this meet the vibe check? Um, then then both sides feel more free, where it's like, oh, is like kind of staying at home and doing nothing is like, is that like the energy I need right now? Or is this the moment where I actually do need to like go out? Or and then I can kind of like also filter through where it's like, okay, if I'm kind of like having a stressed out day, a little depression's coming up, where instantly I'll tell myself, like, oh, well, don't isolate, because that's what they say is like if you're in a moment of depression, like you shouldn't isolate. But it's like, well, now I can say, like, well, okay, no, what is it that I need? What's the vibe that I need? Because it might not be that I'm like isolating. Maybe I'm feeling depression because my social battery is drained, and what I actually need is
Mhm.
that time to just, like, be it like, on Saturday, like, just be at home and do nothing and, like, refill my cup, and so it's not isolating, it's, like, actually, what the doctor ordered right now. So, um, did not think that awareness would come up, but that's cool. I like that.
Do we need to dive deeper into that awareness or not?
Um, I mean, we can, like, I love juicy stuff, I don't know if we have the time for it, I'm not keeping time, but, um, yeah, because more thoughts are coming up around that of like where you had said, like, do I have a problem or do I have issues with, like, saying no to people?
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, I do, but I have less of an issue if it's like, what's the vibe that'll
What's the
serve me
vibe?
right now? What is the vibe I'm looking for right now? Because I'm also a like very experiential person. So it's like, when it comes to like jobs, it's not like I'm never, like, climbing any corporate ladder or whatever, it's like, I know what I want work to feel like. I know, like, what a night out with friends I know what I want that to feel like. I know what, if I'm yeah, like and, like, however it shows up, whether it's game night or, like, "Oh, we're taking a trip somewhere," like, I know the feeling that I want from things, and so using that to, like, more proactively be like, "Oh, am I gonna get the feeling I want or the experience that I want with these choices of stuff?" Like, that doesn't feel like saying no to someone that's 'cause it's not even about them. It's like, I'm just saying yes to the yes to the dress, yes to the vibe.
Yes to the dress, I love it. If you were coaching yourself, what would you say?
I would ask myself, "Okay, you said you need to do less. Like, what's wrong with that?" Sounds like I'm wondering if you're criticizing yourself for wanting to do less. What's happening there?
And how would you answer that?
Um I would say there's nothing wrong with it. Hustle culture says that, there's something wrong with it. My debts tell me there's something wrong with it. Corporate America, where it's like, are you being productive? And like, what did you do? What did you contribute? That says there's something wrong with it. Me, myself, I'm like, hello, isn't that what we all want? Isn't that why we celebrate retirement? You know? Then why we get excited for vacation because it's like, "Oh my god, I don't have to do anything," or the things I'm doing on vacation, ideally, you're picking out things that are like, "Oh, that sounds exciting, that sounds cool, let's do that." So for me, I'm like, what's wrong with that? Why can't that be the aim, you know?
Yeah. I just wanna say I love your energy shift and your sense of humor. I love it. Good energy.
Yeah. If the jokes are coming, I know I'm like, I'm in the place because I find life to be hilarious. So if I can make jokes about it, and the wit and banter starts happening, then I know I'm in a good spot. So I guess that's like I said, it would be an energetic shift. So I'm like, okay,
Mm,
we're making progress. You know,
right. Do you need any more energetic shifts?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because
Okay.
I, it's end of the year. I don't make New Year's resolutions because, like, so many major shifts in my life have happened, and they weren't on January 1st. It's just, I know that once the time comes to make a shift or change a behavior, doesn't matter the date. Um, so, yeah. Um, but I say no because, a couple days I'm heading to North Carolina. I'll be there like it's vacation. I got like, 2 more days of work before I'm kind of done for the year. And I'm like actively gonna, like, intuitively I've been telling myself, like, think of the energy that you want to bring into the next year, and then wrap like goals or activities around that, you know? Um, and so yeah, like this like, oh, does it pass the vibe check is actually really good timing.
So does it pass the vibe check? I like that question.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, does that, like, we make fun of Gen Z language, but like that's great. It's like, like I'm gonna be in the car 20 hours there and 20 hours back. And I've had people that are like, oh my God, such a long drive. And I'm like, I actually usually enjoy long drives because it's just me and the car, like it's just is what it is. And lots of time to just think and whatever. Um, and so it's like, yeah, like, well, what energy do I want for this road trip? What energy do I want at home for the holidays? Like, how do I, and that will create, that will, like, I think of the serenity prayer where it's like, grant me the serenity to accept the
Mm.
things I cannot change, and then the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's like, well, I can, I can't necessarily control all of the events, but in terms of like the energy, I have a hand in that, whether it's I can shift the energy or I can leave.
That's true.
Yeah.
How are we doing towards the progress that you wanted to make at the beginning of the session?
So good. Give us an A plus.
A plus.
I was only aiming for a C. C's get degrees, but like wow, this was, you know, some good stuff came up quickly.
Good. What did you learn about yourself today?
Um, I learned more about this like instinctual need for what I call downtime. And I learned that that's like recharge time. That's, when you get the spinning wheel of death on the computer, you got to shut it down and restart it. If the phone starts getting hot, you got to turn it off and let it cool down. And so that, yeah, I look at that need for downtime. It's not isolating. It's it's actually very fruitful.
What did you learn about your situation today?
Um, bless my heart. I, love that I was able to force myself outside of my comfort zone for basically 2 years to like try to create community and connection and go out and do things. But there's got to be a balance to that, and
Mm.
yeah, finding that balance comes from like, all right, let's check in with your battery. How's your battery doing?
Yeah. How is your battery doing?
It's good. I'm laughing because I love the movie Sister Act, and there's a scene where
Yeah.
like the piano player, she's deaf, and she's got the like battery thing, and she's like, "Alma, check your battery." So like that'll check your social battery.
Right. I
So
love
like
it.
actually right now, it's really great, and it's like it sometimes when I have too much downtime, like my Mondays, I don't have a lot of meetings. So that's like a day where I have
Mm.
to structure the day myself. Or like, okay, but like, what do I need to get done? And I can overload it. Like I said, do too much and be like, oh, I can get this, 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 this. And it's like, okay, but is that actually going to happen? Are you going to have a good experience if you're trying to cram all this stuff in one day? What needs to get done? And so I kind of have, kind of a checkbox that I can like better, manage myself.
Yeah. So, um, that checkbox, that's something that you actually need to create?
Yes, I do great with lists, or like not lists, but like, templates. So
Mhm.
that'll be something I journal about after this of like, you know, like when I'm looking at, like I said, like the energy or whatever, it's like, what, is there beauty and excellence? And not even in a superficial mode. Like sometimes just seeing my dog, he like eats his food and he'll like look up at me and he's like chewing with his mouth open. It's like the cutest thing ever. Like, you know, do I want to be home so I can just like have some time with my dog? Or do I want to be out because I just love the magic?
I think I lost you again for a moment.
Do I need
There we are. You're back.
I'm back. There we are. There we
You're
are.
back.
Yeah. So,
Is there any other actions, thinking, or reflections you need to take this week?
um, this week, since I have time in the car, it'll be great
Mhm.
to just kind of like think about what's been the overall vibe this year. You know, uh what did pass the vibe check? What didn't, you know? And be easy with myself and forgive myself for any things I repeatedly did that didn't pass the vibe check because, bless my heart, I was trying.
Yeah. And how are you gonna take your new learnings moving forward?
Um, like that, like I'm not really big on like word art, like from Home Goods or
Okay.
whatever, live, laugh, love. But like that's like almost something that could like go up like in the bathroom, a small little sign. It's like, does it pass the vibe check? Um, like that's and really exploring, like continuously examine like, is this like, am I getting the feelings I want from this situation, this place, these people? Um, because then that's not necessarily about me and like this is what I want to do or them or that place, like that's a bad place or like, whatever. It's just like it's co-creative, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you see anything that might stand in your way?
Old habits.
Old habits.
Yeah. Just old habits of like, oh yeah, because also sometimes like I'll be asked like, "Oh, do you wanna go do this?" Or, "Oh, I'm gonna go do that," or whatever. Or sometimes I'll find out someone did something, I get FOMO, and I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me you were gonna go do that? I wanted to go." And it's like, "Did you really? Did you?" It's like or like, "Okay," like, hold up before just saying like, "Oh, sure," because, like, right now, my schedule, like, Monday nights and Wednesday nights and Friday nights, I don't have anything set in the calendar. So, like, sometimes if it's like, "Oh, wait, when is that? Oh, that's a Friday? Oh, okay." And I'm not thinking about, "Let me pause. Let me see how that week is gonna go." Friday nights, a lot of times, I'm worn out from the week, and I might need to just, like, chill out at home, So, like, yeah, gotta pause more.
Yeah. How'd that feel to say?
Felt great. Yeah. Because then it's not pressured. It's not this like, "Oh, I gotta get it." It's not that hustle culture of like, "Oh,
Mm.
I gotta respond immediately." It's like, I can, doesn't take long. I mean, like, I can get back to you in an hour.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
need any additional support to help you with that?
I think the support will come from getting back into my meditation practice
Nice.
and like that, like doing, how I do anything is I do everything. And so it's like creating more mindfulness just in everything. And like,
Mhm.
dude, it's not a race to get the clothes in the washer. Like, you can take your time. Like, ooh, it might take 30 more seconds. It's fine.
Yeah. So Roxy's over here trying to say hi. So let her come over
Mm.
and say hola.
Oh, hey.
I know. She's like, I
Hi.
just want to intrude for a second.
I love it. Please do.
How do you want to hold yourself accountable?
Um, something I did for like, I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks and I should stick to it. But which sounds counterintuitive, maybe, but maybe that's just my inner critic. But for a while, like on Sunday nights, I would actually stop to like look at the week ahead with like meetings that are
Mm.
in the calendar or any events. And it was really nice because then I could forecast and I could be like, ooh, oh, okay, Thursday's going to be difficult because I got these two things on Tuesday. Then there's that thing Tuesday night. And then I got a long meeting on Wednesday. Yeah, I better take it easy by Thursday because I could easily be burnt out. Um, and like having that regular cadence of like checking in, um, I think that'll boost my ability to like forecast because I know how my energy fluctuates over the week. So yeah.
Yeah. How may I support you?
Um, just keep doing what you're doing on social. It's so great. Like even like I love keeping up with people that I know through social when they're posting just like about their life because then I feel like I like was able to connect with them and it's like, oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, okay, got it. See what they're doing. So yeah, I enjoy that.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. And Co, I'd like to celebrate you for a moment. Like your ability to dive deep into your own awareness and in those uncomfortable spaces, like it's not always easy to admit that we have like fear of missing out or admit that, hey, I really am an introvert when the world says I should be an extrovert. So I just want to applaud you.
Thank you. I
You're
live for the
welcome.
applause.
Yay. Here, round of applause. Because
Yay!
that's how corny I am and I love it.
I love it. It's great.
Do you feel complete?
I do. I really do. I appreciate that. That was
Awesome.
great.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Co,
Yeah.
you are a fellow coach, and I would like for you to tell my audience, like, who are you as a coach? What do you do? And who do you love to work with?
Yeah. So, as a coach, I was I'll say I love to work with the disemployed, meaning like you have a job, things are good, but it's just like something like needs to change. Don't know what it is. It's like wearing a wool sweater in July. I love working with that community because especially people who have like you've had some success in life. So like I know you're gonna like come and do the work. You're not just like, oh, why is life happening? Um, I also love working with people who are in transition of some sort. Like I said, I moved cross country 2 years ago. I've changed careers a couple times. Like I said, I lived in New York and was an actor. Then been doing this like corporate nonprofit thing for like last almost 8 years. So I know transitions can be tough, but
Mhm.
those are some of the most pivotal times and those are the times I think people need support. And it might not be from like family and friends because they think they know you too well and they know what you're supposed to do. And so it's like hard to like just share with them, and then they start giving advice, and you're like, "I didn't ask for that." And that's not what I do as a coach. I'm just curious. I'm a professional listener. So, yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love it. And
Yeah.
what do you think your biggest strength is as a coach?
Um, it's so funny. I actually got this feedback from a mentor once, and I didn't understand it, but, I'm I I can create a space that's really comfortable where people will open up and also, like, my use of humor. I use humor a lot in the work that I do. And sometimes that can, I think, cognitively make people think like, "Oh, okay." But like I said, I'm a professional listener, and so I'm gonna ask you some real questions. We're gonna go in there, and I think it's like, "Oh, oh, 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 you got me. You got me. Oh, crap." A friend of mine used to tell people, "Don't get drunk with him in a bar because you will be over in the corner with a box of tissues, crying and like figuring out your life when you thought you were just gonna come out and have a good time." And I'm like, sorry, it happens. I ask questions. I don't try to coach people off the clock, but sometimes I'm curious. I ask a question, and next thing I know, they're crying, and I'm like, oh, well, good. Let it out. Let's go.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to add to like anything about you as a coach?
Um, I would just say, like, I mean, like, if anyone's, watching this now or later, if you're just curious about what coaching is, like, I do free consultations, like, like, or if there's any coach that you see, if it's, Tash or anyone, don't think it has to be like with therapy. Sometimes people say, like, oh, like, your life doesn't have to be falling apart to get a therapist or
Right.
to reach out to a coach. Um, And so if you're curious, just go meet with one. I also do video coaching, so, like, I coach people on authentic presence on camera, which sometimes the same thing I said before, like, people will come in thinking, "Oh, you're just gonna tell me, like, what to do with my lights and how to put the camera and, like, what to do with the background," and they're surprised when, like, we end up having, like, real conversations, like, like I was working with someone a few weeks ago, and I said, I'm sorry, but I have a question. Do you have a need for control? Because it
Mm,
was
yeah.
showing up in how
All right. Co froze for a moment, so he'll come back on in a minute.
coaching. Oh,
There you are. Yeah, you froze with your hands up. That's where we were.
note to self, like, connect to Ethernet if I'm gonna work from this interior room. Um, but yeah, like, if you're curious, reach out. Like, pretty much all of us do, like, free consultations because the thing is, we gotta know if we wanna work with you too. It's not
Right.
like a dentist where, you just go through insurance and go to that one and then be like, "Oh, no," like, now you're already there drilling into my teeth, and now I realize I don't wanna work with you, you know?
Mhm.
It's like it's almost like a professional it's like a professional friendship. Because, like, we'll call you out,
Yeah.
and we'll tell you what you might not wanna hear or ask questions that, like, maybe a friend wouldn't ask because they already think they know the answer, but at any point, you're not stuck with us. It's like, try it out, see what works, you know?
Right. And then I have another question that could be a little controversial. I
Oh,
guess
like
it
it.
depends on who you ask, right? But why would you say um it's important or not important, depending on your views, to hire a certified coach versus a non-certified coach?
Yeah. So, I'll admit when I went into my coaching program, I what I thought about coaching, I didn't realize that
Mhm.
my thoughts on coaching were off because I thought, like, "Oh, okay, this thing's like 6 months, I get my little certificate at the end and, like, move on." Did not realize what I was going into was basically grad school. And,
Pretty much.
certified coaches, like, especially depending on, like, where you're training, but the biggest part is, like, how do we learn to listen deeply? And, like, listen, for anyone watching, I was asked, "What do I wanna focus on? Why is that important?" And then, you're holding that in mind, so then as I'm talking, if I've said, "Yeah, I wanna do A," but all of my words are pointing me towards B, it's not, "Oh, you gotta go fix that." It's, as a coach, learning to, like, hear that and be curious and be like, "Oh, okay, you said you wanted A. These words are pointing to B. Do you actually want A? Or is B actually what you want? Oh, it turns out you actually want C, not that you've thought about that and you've heard those 2 things together. It's certified coaches, that's the space we live in, and, we study all different types of things, like, like positive psychology and, like, even as far as, like, emotional freedom technique and all these different things to inform our ear and our
Mhm.
listening. Um So yeah, that's I thought it was just gonna be like, I would learn how to, like, give people assessments and, like, learn how to, set up packages and, like, whatever, and I was like, "Oh, that was, like, just the tip of the iceberg of what this industry actually is," and I fell in love with it even more as I was in there going, this is more than I thought I was bargaining for. Got it. Oh, I live for this. It's so much. I thought it was this, but it's so much more and even better than I had imagined."
Yeah, and if you could sum up, like, what coaching is to you now that you know, what would you say to someone that has no clue?
I would say I'll describe it in what it's not. So,
Mm.
coaches, it's not therapy. I'm not, like even with you when you were like, do you want to dig more into that? It's it's like I'm not going to diagnose you with anything. Yeah, the past is important. I'm sure it's informed how you got here, but at the same time, like, okay, that's in the past. I'm really working with you as a coach of like, who are you now? Let's honor what's happened because I got you where you are, and where do you want to go, and what's it going to take to get there? You know,
Mm.
you're in California. You want to drive to New York City. Not that it doesn't matter how you got to California. It's like, okay, cool. Maybe a therapist can talk about like, oh, we had to flee the war and okay, that's you can talk about that with a therapist. At the same time, I'm not a consultant, so even though maybe I haven't driven from California to New York myself, I listen as a coach to like, got it, you're in California. You want to go to New York and you want to wait, you said you want to drive. Like I'm taking it back there. It's like, got it. Let's talk about how you're going to get there. Let's break down any, maybe you're assuming you have to drive and it's like, you can't fly, right? What states are in between? Like my job is to get curious about all this stuff because the thing is, what passes the vibe check for you. So as a
Right.
coach, I'm just here to like hold that non-judgmental space and keep asking questions for you to then answer. Because the thing is, you know the answer, but you need someone from the outside to be like, like a toddler, like, what's that? What's that for? And then you're like, oh, oh, oh,
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And I know that's not always an easy question for us as coaches to answer, but I feel like it is
yeah.
important that we start educating the public. What do you think about that?
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, like I said, I mean, even therapy's been around for forever, and I think a lot of people still don't really understand what that's for. Thanks to newer things like these
Mhm.
companies that are like doing it asynchronously and like whatever. You don't have to just go sit on a couch and talk about your dreams. I think coaching is less understood, but it's funny because
Mhm.
everyone knows about sports and
They
like what
do.
a sports coach does, and
Right.
so I'm like, yeah, I'm a coach, except the game is your life, and you're on the field. I'm just on the
Right.
sidelines watching and saying, hey, oh, check your form here. Oh, what if you try that? Or do you think you should try that? Or do you even want to play this game? Is there a different game you want to play? It's yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. And if somebody
yeah.
wanted to play in the game of life with you as their coach, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach me on Instagram. My handle is coinhabit, COENHABIT, because it's very we co-inhabit this earth and this world
Cool.
together. Um, and then my website is Life in Context, so life-in-context.com, because again, the work that I do is like, let's put this into context. Like, got it. You want to go there, you want to do this. Let's look at the whole picture and like take
And that's
everything
your
into
website?
consideration. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
So
Instagram's probably the
your web
easiest to find me.
Instagram, perfect. And the Instagram handle one more time, just to make sure we got it.
Cohabit, COENHABIT.
Perfect. Co-inhabit.
Yeah.
So if you need to get a hold of Co, feel free and DM him directly and let him know that you're interested in learning more and setting up a free coaching consultation.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
talk. Let's play.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Co. And
Yeah.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody that have joined us today. Hope you have a beautiful and blessed day.